Good morning, everybody. Hello, cheers. Dramatic music, says Tishipu. Yes, I can't hear it when it plays. It's infuriating. I wish I could. Get to enjoy it like everyone else, but no, not me. Hello, Hababua. I forgot that right. In Austria. Definitely need a coffee this morning. Is everyone excited? Is everyone excited? Sion's going to make a fool of himself playing with FPGAs today. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm just going to show just how silly I am. Anyway, how is everyone doing? Has everyone had a good week? Sorry about last week. No stream. I was just exhausted, run down. I've had an epic, well, it's been a few months actually, excuse me, but had a really full-on couple of weeks trying to finish and solve my antenna switchover from the Ignian stuff to Johansson for my S3 boards. And I'm happy to announce that I've finally done it, and I have now validated all of my boards, and I'm about to, I've started panelizing, and I'm going to move my production over to these new updated boards. For those that aren't aware why I'm doing this, it all started when Ignian decided to discontinue the antennas I use. So I use these white Ignian antennas over here, and I use them on all my boards because they're obviously, all my boards are ESP32 based. They've all got Wi-Fi at least, if not Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and can't get the antennas anymore. Well, it turns out now you can. It's a really long story. I'm not going to go into it, but the point is I had to move away to a new antenna. Ignian did not have a drop-in replacement antenna, which was really frustrating. And after trying a few of their antennas and issues around them and stuff, I decided to move to a different antenna, and I chose a Johansson antenna, and which is a little antenna like, it's tiny, little tiny antenna. You can just see just there. And I've now validated all my boards. So this is my final Feather S3 and my final Pro S3 with this antenna, my final Tiny S3, and don't worry about the pins on the side, my Nano S3, also using the same antenna. So why is this important? Well, I needed to, obviously, I can't build boards without antennas. And in the process of doing this, I also put harmonic suppression on there as well, because the S3 has some severe harmonics issues. And so all of these boards should pass certification now. Who knows, right? They're certifiable. where my previous boards were not certifiable. Okay, I'll get to that, Moss. Not sure what you mean, which board you're talking about. And ready for this? In the process of doing this, I've also made a Feather S3 with a UFL connector, and a Pro S3 with a UFL connector, and a tiny S3 with a UFL connector. So like my tiny Pico, you will be able to get or choose between onboard antenna or off-board antenna. So you can put a, I'm using this Pulse Wi-Fi antenna for all my testing. You can get a UFL or IPEX, whatever they're called, a little antenna on there, and you can connect it to the board like that. That is a really massive antenna, and now you've got an external antenna. Now, why would you want to use an external antenna? Well, sometimes you're putting the board inside a box, like a metal box, or just even a 3D printed box or something, which will drastically degrade the performance of the antenna because the antenna has to radiate. So with a UFL connector, you can put an external antenna on. How small is the Nano S3? It's pretty small. Well, it's the same. It's actually about 0.5 millimeter all around bigger than the tiny Pico Nano, but it is pretty small. What is it? I don't know. I can't remember. 26 by 12 millimeters. And it's pretty much a full tiny S3, but in a castellated format. So I've got some pins on the side there so I can plug a battery in for testing. Bit hard to test it because it's castellated. So anyway, that's really exciting. So I'm now in the process of panelizing all of these boards. So there's no difference to them. For instance, just to be clear, if I grab okay, here we go. So here's a Feather S3, my current model, and obviously it'll be black as well. Feather S3, my new one, they're the same. This is a P8, this is a P7, they're exactly the same, except this is just moved to a new antenna. Will it give you better antenna performance? Possibly, depending on what you're doing. I've tuned these boards to have a broader frequency spectrum, but really they're identical. So there's no requirement to be on a P8 instead of a P7. Just to be clear, that there's no change in functionality on any of my boards. It's just a move to a new antenna. But I had to do this because I'm almost out of antennas. And although I can buy them again now, they have released some more. They're twice the price, whatever, doesn't matter. The point is I can't stay on them, and these give me new options. So I actually only finished this yesterday. I'm so relieved. It's been, for many of you know, it's been months and months of pain and heartache trying to choose an antenna and trying to I had to change stack ups on my boards. It was a long process, but I finally done it and validated it all. Dustmaker says, how's it going with your pick and place Neoden? Send you replacement parts. Everything's working again. Yes, the Neoden 8 is working. I did get replacement parts. I bought a whole bunch of replacement stuff myself, replaced most of the air stuff inside, whatever, and the machine is working fine. Though it's not my machine anymore because it's been tentatively sold to someone else. Just when I got it working well, it's gone. Well, it's not gone, it's still here. Still here. I'm going back to manual pick and placing, folks. No more pick and place machine. I'm going to manually assemble all my boards. Okay, I'm going to say hi to everyone in the chat. I've got some other announcements to make too, but let's say hello, folks. Andy Mouse, good morning. Yombo Prime. Antonio, hello. Alan Madston, hi. DIY, hello. DIY in the Ghetto. Colormaker, Embedded Hobbyist. Gerald42, hello. David Esser. Andy Callaway. Andy Callaway. Alex Harvey, hello. Dutchmaker, hi. Scott L, Graham Noobs, hello Graham. Up early again. Chris Georgie, hello. Life in Cycling, Henrik, hi. Beata, hello. Amory, wow, I can't say that this morning. I need more coffee. I apologise. Always watching the end of the episode of Mandalorian. I've not started the new season yet. No spoilers. Deshipu, hello. Miss England, hello. Moss, hello. Epic music in shoes. Yep. Andy Day, hi. I think I said hi to Huababua. I don't know. Something. Cable Tie is here. Hello, Cable Tie. How's it going? How has your week been? I'm not going to say anything. You can say if you want to say. I'm not going to give anything away. Reed. Hello, Reed. Hello, Dave Harris. Bleep Track. Hello. Nice to see you here. Well, nice to see your name here. Can't see you. Johnny. Hi, Johnny. Rob E. Hello. You only missed a couple of minutes. Are you watching on the couch on the big screen? Bruce. Hello. Still scrolling. Oop, it jumped. Okay, gotta go from the bottom now. Antonio, hello. Helio Mendoza. Okay, I don't know. Helio, Portugal, hello. Dave Paul Jones, hi. Adrian Perso, hello. Sid, hi Sid. Mad Techie, hi. Still scrolling backwards. Have I got everyone? I think I've got everyone. If I missed anyone, I apologise. So am I allowed to say anything? Or not? No big screen, just back from the brewery and straight up to bed. Oh, pub night. My stream's a pub night for Rob. I'm so jealous. Although you probably drink stuff I wouldn't drink. Okay, some other quick announcements. Just get it out of the way. For those that have been waiting, I've now released my Whoppers on Electrons and on Tindy. So the original batch I only did on my own website, but you can now, if you're in the EU, I'm selling them with an external antenna. I'm not planning on selling them with the external antenna, although I have ordered a bunch of external antennas. Maybe I will. I need to see how good these antennas are first. You can get really shoddy antennas from over AliExpress, wherever. Generally, good antennas aren't cheap. Like these are worth more than the board is worth, but that's also a really big antenna. Oh wait. Oh yes. Okay, so he said it. Cable Tie's got a new job, and it's pretty exciting. I'm not going to post where it is. I won't talk about it, but yeah, we caught up last week, and yeah, it's in the architectural LED lighting industry, and I think your role is R&D manager. I think pretty exciting industry, exciting products. It would be a very exciting job. So I'm very excited for Cable Tie. That's a lot of excitement. Anyway. So anyone that was waiting for Whoppers in the EU, you can now grab them from Electrons. That means that the duty and VAT and all that is prepaid for you. You don't get all the nasty fees. And yes, and Cable Tie took me for a spin in his Tesla, and he did what everyone does, and I wasn't ready for it. He didn't even say what he was going to do, and he just put the foot to the floor, and I went flying backwards in the chair, and almost shat my pants. Anyway, it's not my first ride in a Tesla. I've been in a Model S before. Obviously, I don't have a Tesla. I'd love one. Beautiful car, Cable Tie's car. But seriously, I almost shat my pants. Wasn't good. Is who counting the seconds till Christmas? Hello, Richard. Yeah, had to take me to the dry cleaners. It was pretty funny. It was a full on. I wasn't expecting it yet. There was like no pre-warning or anything. It was just a casual conversation. We were just talking away. Blah blah blah. Bang! He put his foot down. Oh, I literally went flying backwards into the chair. I mean, I was sitting in the chair, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm reliving it now. My heart just going boom, boom, boom. Okay, so is that all the? I think that's everything taken care of. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm avoiding the FPGA thing because because I know it's going to kick my ass. So I'm kind of yeah. But we should start playing, shouldn't we? Assuming I can get a toolchain installed. I want to ride in a roadster. That would be the ultimate, right? Like yeah. My Prius moves like an arthritic old man. Oh well. The new Prius looks really nice, I gotta say. Hey John, how you doing? Has everyone seen the new Toyota Prius? The 2000 and are they calling it a 2024 model? I don't know. Anyway, it looks incredible. Anyway, so let's move on from cars. I'm totally jealous of people with electric cars. I would love an electric car. Can't afford a new car. So what? Mine's 2007. I bought it for $50. What? Okay. Okay. Let's get on to
Alan Madsen says don't say works anymore.
What? Is that politically incorrect to say that? To say what? Works? What? Okay, you lost me. Let's go. Let's move on. So, FPGAs. I have had an icebreaker FPGA. What? Got to borrow the original Roadster as knew the Tills head of marketing at the time. Was fun. Wow. That is insane. That's an amazing looking car. Amazing car. Okay, let's get on to the FPGAs. Let's just do it. Let's just rip the band-aid off. So, oh, actually, yeah, I've got one plugged in. So I bought one of the icebreakers off One Bit Squared off Esden. I'll let him know I'm doing this stream today. I don't know if he's going to be impressed or not. Ages ago, when I was on the crowdfunding campaign, with the intent of learning how to use FPGAs, but one thing leads to another, and I've been busy doing other stuff, and the whole fear of like diving into FPGA land just kept growing and growing and growing in my head, and then I just kept putting it off more and more and more. But I really want to start. I'm not look right now. I'm not intending on designing any FPGA hardware. Maybe. Stay tuned on that one. But I want to just, and I don't have a practical use for an FPGA just in any of my projects right now, although I would love to play with some HDMI or DVI stuff with an FPGA, maybe, but for no purpose other than just tinkering. But I still want to, I feel like there's a whole knowledge area that I really want to learn and just be familiar enough with, right? And the problem with, like, I'm so buried in MCU land, right, in microcontroller land, and I guess specifically ESP32 land, that, like, I don't even know if I have enough brain capacity to fit that and FPGA in my head. Like, I'll be honest, like, jumping between Python and C++ is, like, hard. Jumping between programming and not programming, working with hardware, is hard. As in, You know what I mean? It's a mental shift. I'm looking at the IS-40 to replace unobtainium TTL chips. Yeah, there's stacks of use cases for FPGAs. Don't get me wrong, stacks, right? And sure, you can flash them with a RISC-V core, and you can, all sorts of things you can do with them. I don't have a specific project in mind, but I still want to be able to. I want to be less fearful of that whole FPGA space, right? I'm being honest. It scares the hell out of me, just because it's like I'm starting from scratch. So anyway, believe it or not, I took a few days off last weekend. We had a long weekend. It was Easter, right? Happy Easter, everyone. Was it last weekend? God, time flies. I don't know. And I actually when I say I took 2 days off, I didn't come into the office for 2 days, which is like, who are you and what have you done with Sion? Like, really? So I was at home. I was tinkering, doing stuff, whatever, but I actually spent like more than half a day doing Verilog like tutorials and just learning and stuff. And I've forgotten 90% of what I played with already, because if I'm a doer, right? So if I don't do it, I don't remember it. But it kind of got me excited about playing again. So I pulled out the icebreaker, which I've got here. I've got quite a few FPGA boards. Hang on, what's all this chat happening? If you want an easy FPGA, then look into System C. It's easy to transition to than Verilog and HDR. I want to learn FPGAs properly. Yeah. So, just want to show you, I've also got a Bitsy. That's the 1-bit squareds Teensy footprint. It's actually this one here, the Icebreaker Bitsy, which I don't believe are in stock, or maybe they aren't. No, sold out. I think Peter's doing a crowdfunding campaign for it to launch it. Hey, Wagon Loads, haven't missed anything yet. I'm only just looking at the FPGA stuff now. Yeah, look, there's a whole world out there, Prime, of non-micro controller based things. For me, FPGAs are accessible in terms of, I've got hardware here. I've got all sorts of bits and pieces. I've got pretty much all the add-ons for the Icebreaker. I've got no reason. I've got the 7-segment display, dip switch. I think I've got the video interface. I don't have the HyperRAM. I've got a matrix and matrix panel. There's nothing stopping me from learning other than me, right? And time. Has anyone tried the Arduino Giga R1 Wi-Fi yet? No. Nope. Now, I'm just letting you all know my camera lens. I've got a different lens on my camera at the moment because I've been photographing product. And so it's really tight. I can't get any wider on this, but that's okay. That's okay. That's actually upside down. Anyway. Oh, wow. Hang on 1 second. There's something else I wanted to tease. I'm just going to do this really quickly, okay? This is not FPGA related, okay? I just want it ready, set, da-da-da, da-da-da. Okay, that's it. You blinked, you missed it, you snoozed, too bad. Okay, so where was I? Did you, Bruce? I saw your comment on Discord. Okay, now the problem is, let me show you. So they've got a whole bunch of training material and stuff for the Icebreaker, which is great. At one stage, I did have some Toolchain stuff set up, but it doesn't work and whatever. Yeah, so the problem is, if you go to here and you go iStudio, you need to install the toolchain, the open toolchain. Let me just make that bigger. Okay, you go to here and you say, to install all this stuff, refer to this, right? And you click on this. Actually, I've got it open already. You click on here, and here are the instructions, and it's all for Ubuntu. And you go, oh, bummer, okay, whatever. And then you scroll down, and then it says, oh, notes for OS X, please follow additional instructions for OS X. And you click on that, and ba-bow. No instructions. Right, so I was hunting around. I remember when I originally installed stuff, it was doing it the hard way. But I found these instructions, yes, to do it with Brew. But when I originally installed it with Brew, I had to do it manually. But this guy, this is quite old, but I didn't see it at the time. So this guy actually wrote a keg? He made a keg or something, which has all of the setup for it. For those that don't know anything about Brew, it's just a package manager, and you know, it's brews and kegs, and you tap it and you pour and you whatever. I just woke up and had a dream. Sion was announcing something to do with C6 tiny variant, and I thought I'd check out the stream. Guess not. No, too slow, Aaron. Too slow. No, I don't want to build it myself. That's the point. I don't want to sit here building. I don't want to spend the whole stream just building a tool chain. So I am going to, let's see if I've got a terminal window open here. And let's see if I can get this installed. I have recently updated the semiosis and does it all. Does it? Okay, hang on. Where'd you post the link? Open a new window. Bruce just posted this. The Tabby Cats. There's so many different packages of everything. It's how up to date is this? Because it's not called this anymore, is it? Or maybe, I don't know. See, look at all the this is just, look at all the tools. I'm just, okay. Download an archive matching your OS from the releases page. Extract the archive to location of choice. Make it to allow execution of quarantine files. Okay, so should I not brew it? Okay, maybe we'll try this. Bruce recommends this. Okay, so we'll go to the releases page. I guess we're doing Darwin. Ooh, 12 hours ago. 368 meg of tools. Okay, so let's download this. Yeah, I reckon Brew will also, yeah, it will maintain it better. Maybe. I just don't know how. The link's further up, Wagon Loads. Bruce posted it further up. Okay, I'm gonna start with brewing it. Yeah, I feel better. Well, maybe. Okay, let's just go. I have updated my Brew a couple of days ago. So let's just see what happens. Brew is not very fast. Just letting you all know. Hey Peter, good morning. Okay. So that just added that to my Brew stuff. Now I'll do Brew install Yosis. don't actually like to update tools that build stuff. Sure. You can break dependencies, version dependencies. I can always uninstall it from Brew as well. Just a fleeting visit. Hello, Fred. How you doing, mate? Fleeting. Where are you off to? So originally I was told I should be learning VHDL, but all of the stuff I've been kind of looking at and learning and whatever else has been Verilog. So I'm probably going to, assuming I can just develop in Verilog, I'm going to just do that. I'm cold, maybe to bed early. Okay. Well, I hope you have a good sleep. The answer is both. That I need to learn both. Okay. Well, I don't need to learn both because, like, it's not like I'm going for a job in the industry working on FPGAs, but yeah, I'll be happy if I can. I'm pretty sure I can get an LED blinking, right? But what I'd like to achieve by the end of this stream, possibly, and I don't even know how yet, is I want to see if I can just control an RGB LED, a WS2812 RGB LED. So can I put some hardware, can I put some logic together that will send the right communication at the right speed to, you know, set an RGB LED to a particular color? That would be really cool if I can get that working. Wilma! Eat red meat if you need to build body heat. Oh, okay. Moss. Okay. System C. I get it. I get it. System C. Go feed your kids. It's okay. I'm not going anywhere. The answer is squeak. Doesn't the lattice let you use those Python virtual translator? Yes. There's lots of... See, look how... God, this takes forever. Yeah, there are so many tools. That's the problem. There are so many tools and so many ways to do it. And there's all these Python things. You can write basic Python and it converts it, maybe. But I don't want to learn that way. Like, I'd rather, you know, for now, pick Verilog and just, you know, work out how to do it like that and do it the way it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be done? You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. Okay, so brew install ice storm. I'm sure ChatGPT or one of the newer variants could do it for me, although I wouldn't trust it. I've asked ChatGPT to write me some example code a few times for different things, and the code it's written not only doesn't work, but when you point out it doesn't work, it goes, oh yes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Here's the corrected code, which doesn't work. Verilog is excellent to start with. Cool. Hey, Fognology. Look, I don't even know if I'm ever going to do anything beyond. So this is to install. Is there any reason why I'd want the GUI version of Next PNR? This is going to install the non-GUI version and without the ECP5 stuff. At least you aren't installing Quartus and hating your life. Hello, Collinator. I don't even know what Quartus is. Ooh. Invalid option without GUI. With GUI. Oh, right. So now, by default, it's without GUI. Okay. Maybe. Let's try that. What is a Python board? May want the GUI to visualize the layout. Okay. That's assuming I'd even understand what I was visualizing. But yeah, okay. I can always reinstall it with the GUI. Quartus is the enemy of the people. Okay, but what is Quartus? I'm assuming it's a development environment, maybe? One of the closed source one? Who wrote an actual good answer? What? Hey Vishnu, it's possible to make an SMT mini PNP machine with DIY Python GUI software and Marlin as G-code interpreter. Sure, why not? Make one. That's possible. Or you're asking me to make one. I'm not making one. ID for Altera FPGAs. Right, okay. To the flan versus quiche question. What? From the quiche and the flan are both pastries. The difference between them is that a quiche is an open, savoury pastry with a crust. The flan is a spongy pastry without a crust. Did you get that from ChatGPT? Anyway, got into an argument with ChatGPT when I kept building me circuits with shorts to ground. I tried several times to correct it, admitted the mistake, and then made a new versions of the mistake. Yeah, I actually I tried getting ChatGPT to design me a harmonic suppression filter that it did an impedance translation from 35 J0 to 50 ohms, and it had to be a CLC, so capacitor, shunt, inductor, series, capacitor, shunt. And every single time it did inductors, shunts. And I go, no, I want it to be a CLC. It needs to be whatever, blah, blah. Yes, you are correct. Sorry, I got them back to front. Here's the new solution. Inductor shunt. Every time. It was like, it got to the point where it was very funny. Very funny. Okay. So that's all installed. Now I'm gonna clone. We're gonna clone the examples. Where am I? I should probably icebreaker. And now I'm going to clone the examples. According to the cube rule of food, a quiche is a salad. What? Gave me wrong value for a voltage divider. Binary install didn't pass muster. Are you really? It didn't work? You have to build it? Do you have to give anything but ASCII schematics? What? Okay. Okay. Let's break examples. Now, what are they saying? Go to... Wow. Blink count shift. CD blink. Let's just see if it works. And I should be able to now. So it's plugged in. I don't know what this is going to do. Oh, that's annoying. That's upside down. Let me... Oops. I didn't mean to move that. Let me see if I can rotate it. Really? Can I not flip it? Transform. Here we go. Rotate 180 degrees. There we go. That should be the right way now. So, can an FPGA be programmed to be a simple single transistor with characteristics? I wouldn't think so. I don't know, because like it's just logic. It's digital logic. Like the characteristics of a BD139 would be chemistry, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go. We're going to do a make. See if the toolchain works. It's going to crash, and I'm not going to be able to fix it. You watch. See, look at that. No such file or directory. See, I don't know how old this stuff is, but build example, connect. I knew this was going to be, this is there's another, what? What? Who? What? So this is the problem with using an open toolchain, is that if you didn't develop the toolchain, you have no idea what it's doing.
Cian, chatbot has disconnected.
Ooh, did everyone hear that? I updated my chat stuff so it exits. When it crashes, it doesn't try to reconnect endlessly. It just lets me know it, and I can start it again. How cool is that? Did everyone hear that? Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to fix this. Yeah, it let me. It said, "See on the chat has disconnected." Error when compiling. Import tool. No, it's my chat control bot, my chat bot. Yeah, well, it failed. It's saying it can't found blink count shift.asc. Is that big enough? Can everyone read it? Let me see if I can get it bigger. Hang on. Wow, that's so big it doesn't even fit on my screen anymore. So if I try to make again, can you read that? No such file or directory. Blink count shift AC error 1. Well, I did install it. Maybe. Following the instructions. Did I miss something? I mean, next PNR was installed. Unless there's a problem with where I installed it. Maybe because I changed directories. Could that be a thing? It should have put them in. Oh, hang on. Yeah, path issue. Do I need to? You see, it doesn't say anything here about needing to set up my path. It should be doing that automatically for me. Maybe I need to log out and log back in. What do you mean the same prefix? You mean in the same folder? It should be putting everything in like slash user slash whatever, like bin or sbin or whatever. Sorry, Fred. Catch you later. Maybe I needed to log out and log back in to my terminal so the path kicks in. Could be. Okay, well, I'm I'm reinstalling it, and I'm adding the GUI. Right, I could just type in source. It's just easier to log out and log back in. Well, they are popular in the hobby industry, in a small group of people. But you know, like I wouldn't even know. Like I know what some of these libraries are, but I wouldn't even know 95% of any of this stuff. Right? Error. Tools are too outdated. What? Your command line tools are too outdated. Up them from software update and system setting. Really? I don't think so. Maybe they're too new. I'm not deleting them first. They're already installed. And there is no software update for command line tools. Vishnu, I've not had any time to be working on Otis. Sorry. Yeah, I've been busy on my ESP32S3 stuff. So, Otis and all my other stuff's just over there. Yeah, I've got no updates. There's no command line tool updates. I don't know if there's a Docker or anything else up there, Hound, compared to so that. Right, but FPGAs and MCUs are a totally different space, right? Totally different use cases. Okay, so let me. Oh, I have to change the size again. Make it big enough. Which one was it? Blink count. Shift. Make. Yeah, it's the same problem. Can I echo? No. Oh, is it dollar path? I can't remember. Yeah, I'm shaving the yak. Doesn't look like there's any. Oh, maybe it's the wrong Python version. So I've got 3.85, and I'm pretty sure it installed stuff for 11. Oh, I wonder if that's it. Well, let me do it. Nothing to do with Python? Are you sure? Well, okay, it looks like we're going to do this one. Look at the links I provided. The links you provided? I didn't see any links from you, Fognology. You're not a mod. Hang on. Okay, you're a mod now, so you should be able to post links, maybe? TebiCAD. Oh, this is TebiCAD Suite, I think. That's what this is now. That's what Bruce put me on. Are you talking about this stuff? Suite is a component of your SS's Tabby CAD suite. Well, Peter, the thing is, I can't even get the toolchain working. I did the brew install, and this is all old stuff, right? And it's not working. I'm getting oops. I'm getting ICE next PNR ICE 40 no such file or directory issues. So I'm going to try doing the this install. So I downloaded that. I need to, where do I put it? Right, okay. So I need to download it. Does it matter where I put it? .38 gigabytes. Wow, that is a lot of tools. And I'm just putting it in if I can find my icebreaker folder. Direct open in terminal. Yeah, download. Yep. Extract it. Doing that now. It's a lot of extraction. Where am I? Really? No. Okay, so I've now got it in here. Oh, what is it? OSS CAD suite, and then I do a .activate. You just type CD. But what do, hang on, don't I need to or just run, okay, I can just do a .activate. Okay, here we go. It's going to possibly take a while. And now I'm going to have conflicting installs everywhere of all my stuff. Okay, hello, whenever you're ready. Dun dun dun. Drum roll, yeah. It's doing something. Not much. Just make sure you uninstall the stuff you don't use. Otherwise, you'll be sad. What? Okay, done, it says. And now I need to set up a path. I gotta do a full path, don't I? I gotta go /u. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna click on that and no. I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna right click and go copy as path name. And I'm gonna paste. There we go. Much quicker. Okay. So And then if I do a source, remember, what is it? Oh my god. .z. Is it RC? Is it Z? No, ZS. Is it ZSH? No. Is it RC? No. Oh my god, I can't remember. You know what? I'm just gonna SHRC dot ZSH. Is that the one? Yeah, ZSH. Thank you. So many different... Okay, so now I should be able to...
Cable tie says .zshc.
Thanks, yeah, I got it. It's all good. What was it again? Oh. Ice break. Breaker. Blink. Blink. Shift count. So if I go make... Oh, it's doing something. Ooh. Here we go. Qt OpenGL framework cannot be opened. See, it's all this permission shit now. It doesn't work. Cancel. Cancel. So now I've got to go into... Do I have to sudo make it? Really? You get a macOS. I shouldn't have to do a sudo make. No, it still won't let me do it. No. Qt OpenGL framework. It worked for you, but are you on a Mac? Yeah, but I don't have to do it. No, I don't think it's not the brew stuff. I can. Allow anyway. Okay. Yep, okay, open. Oh, now I've got to do this for every single one. I want to get rid of this. Did you use the K Temkin brew stuff? That worked for me. No, I did. This TWAM. It's quite old. Open. And now it's saying this one again. This isn't annoying at all, folks. We'll get there once I get past these permission things. Now it's the core one. Allow anyway. Oh, it is, because I reinstalled it with the GUI thing, which I probably shouldn't have. Okay, there we go. I gave them all permission. Okay. So now if I do a make prog. Hopefully this will, I don't know, even know what it does. Hopefully this will put something onto, oh, it's flashing. Oh, look at that. Look at the LEDs going. Yay! Makes progs. Okay, so how long did that take? Did it in one time? Toolchain installed, yes. Permission issues solved, yes, hopefully. Now, whew. Okay. So I'm assuming this code, hang on, what I should do is, bear with me, I'm opening up Visual Studio Code. I don't think you can flat pack like that on the Mac, to be honest. I could be wrong, but open. Okay, so here's Visual Studio Code. Open the repository. Never. Okay, so this is the code. So I'm curious to know if I can just decipher it. And I'm pretty sure it's just a shift register. So bunch of outputs, LEDs, 5 LEDs, button inputs. What do the button inputs do? Do they do anything? Don't know. Oh, okay, this is just setting up all the outputs anyway. Okay. I don't know what the local param keyword is. I'll have to work that out. So set it registers. So it's the bits plus log2
Cable
delay.
tie says try pushing the buttons.
No, buttons aren't doing anything. Or actually, the LED on the side here is flashing. So what LED number is that? Can't see what LED number it is. Hang on, I need to get a picture of... Where do I get a big picture? Just the green LED, the green, so it'll be, here, LED GN. Oh, here, right, LED red and LED green, don't know what the N is for, is not button N
Pyotr
plus button 1.
Ostentempsky says press more than one button with once.
Right. Yeah, so multiple buttons is red. Okay, and these outputs here are all being set to 1, shifting, out counter, and 15. So I don't know what... I got nothing connected to these outputs. Yeah, there's a button here as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Which are these 4 buttons here? I'm assuming N is the one on that side there, right? Yep. Cool. So log2 delay, that's just a counter, like to slow down the cycling, right? So if you can't test them like hardware, you have to play. This button is negative logic. The ones on the attached pin are positive logic. Ah, that's what the underscore N is for. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, that's I gotta ask. Like, it's Verilog. No one has to like whatever. But why are when you create a register or a whatever? Why is it the length colon start? Why isn't it start colon length? Oh, that'll be to do with big or little endian, right? That'll to do with big or little endian. So depending on which way you do this, will decide if it's big or little, yeah? Right, you can do it both ways. Okay, that makes sense. Right, there you go. Ping. Sign is for combination logic. The always section is for sequential logic. Yeah, I understand that. Yep. Bits are left to right, like in a written number. But that's based on what endian is, right? Separate the Pythons from the FPGAs. Sure. So that would be big endian, if that's the case. So live feed of the code you're editing, that everyone can see what you're doing. What do you mean a live feed of the code? This is the code here. Live feed of the code you're doing. Don't know what you mean. Sorry. Swap bytes, not bits. I understand that they swap. Yeah, it's the whichever is the least or most significant. Like the data is the same. It's just which is the. So I want to understand this. Hey, Citizen Blank. Hello. The way Python does it with exclusive versus inclusive array indexes makes FPGA stuff very annoying. My only real complaint about Amaranth being embedded in Python. Okay. So explain this to me. Okay. And this is not to you, Peter. This is to anyone, right? I apologize. This is not a my private one-on-one session that everyone else is watching. So I get that we're all this shifting. Yeah, the light that this looks like it's a fancy truncated simple way of writing something that should be padded out more to be able to be understood, right? But this is basically saying we're going to assign each one of these a high or a low based on this, and I don't understand this. How would I expand that out? That line makes it into a semi-random sequence of LEDs blinking. Something Clearwolf did to make the pattern more interesting. Right, I guess it does look kind of semi-random-ish, whatever, and not in a sequence, but I still don't. I know it's a simple logic equation, I get that, but what actually is it? So like, for instance, how do we do, can you do comments like this? Yeah, okay. So like, okay, so that is a, is that an XNOR? It's modulo, is it? Is that an XOR? Okay.
HMS says Zor.
Zor. Yeah, I don't think it. Okay, so that's a okay. Cool. I know. I was watching a
Cable tie says XOR.
Chris Georgie says XOR.
Got it. It's an XOR, right? So I was watching some videos. I found a channel of this. I can't remember her name. Let me see if I can quickly find it. It was. Hang on. Let me pseudo random generator. Let me see if I can find this channel. It's quite interesting because I it's what made me find the HD Bits, was it, website, where I started tinkering with Verilog, which made me want to do this. This one here. Copy link. Don't start playing. Don't. Okay.
Homegrown
No.
fields.
Sorry, just 1 second. Skip ad. Okay. So the channel's called FPGA for Beginners. Let me I'll put the link in here. And I was watching this, and she was going through some examples on the HDL Bits website. And for those that haven't seen that, it's actually pretty cool. FPGA for Dummies, basically. HDL Bits, it's a Verilog practice website. And basically you do a whole bunch of like, it's basically learning, but you do it interactively through a simulator. Heads with potatoes. I didn't even look what the ad was. Oh, I was just sitting there going, please finish or skip it already. Anyway, I started going through this, and it was quite cool. And she was going through and discussing stuff about the different steps. And she made a really interesting point. There was one bit, she basically said, don't write fancy code, or not code. Don't write fancy logic. Basically, write it out, expanded, so you can read it again later, and so other people can read it. Every time you do some very fancy whatever, it just becomes too abstract and too hard to understand. I don't know if this could be written out any easier or not. I don't know. But it was actually quite a valid point. Like, she gave some examples of, some trickery that you can do, some logic definitions that that worked, but they were unreadable, right? Anyway, is there an FPGA for Dummies? Verilog for Dummies. That is all great and good, unless you have to start optimizing your stuff. Then you leave the simple representation in a comment and use. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If the optimized version is faster, sure, but for someone else to understand, like, I'd love to know what that's actually doing. Like, I know what the end result is doing. I'd like to know actually what that mapped out would be doing. Generate suboptimal stuff. Sure. Okay. So let's so what else are we going to put on there? Gamepad, FFA, UART, right. So I would like to. So there's no RGB LED on here, is there? On this board, Peter? I think, like, there's it says on the back here, WS2812. I'm assuming that is for something that plugs into there. I've got, what are all the things I've got? I don't think I've got anything that's got a WS on it. So I've got the little 2-digit display. I've got the 2-digit display. I've got 2 of them with the dip switches. I've got the assuming that's DVI out. The ear for the is not populated. The ear, you call it an ear? Is that an ear? That's actually quite funny. Right, so could an LED be put on there? There's no pads for the LED though. Looks like a transistor, maybe, or a you can plug in the 7-segment display now. Which one do I have to plug the 7-segment display into? Which port. Yeah, because those ports are all cycling, aren't they? So if I just plug into any of them, it should do something. There we go. So okay. The problem is getting the brain away from thinking it looks like C code. Yeah, I need it. That's my biggest thing is whenever I think about FPGA right now and think about, oh, what's a project I can do on an FPGA, I straight away I'm thinking about code. What code could I do? Not what code could I put on it. What code, like what coding problem do I want to redo on an FPGA? And I think that's the wrong way to think. You know what I mean? Like, okay, great. Let's say I could connect. Let's say I could do WS2812 stuff, and I could pump out data massively fast to 2000 RGB LEDs, right? Which is something that you just can't do with speed on an ESP32. The problem is, how would I get the data into the FPGA for it to process? If I can't get the data, if I can't get an ESP32 to run 2000 LEDs at a decent frame rate, I definitely can't populate an FPGA with the data fast enough to do the same thing, right? Is that bicolor? I don't think that's is it bicolor, or is it just doing? I think it's just the lighting. No, they're just red. Wait, where did that window go? I'm sure I just opened a. Okay, is the icebreaker workshop. Computer icebreakers. Oh, is this that's the workshop you did at Crowds at the what do you call it? The Crowd Supply event? We're able to do 60 frames per second video output over USB to the icebreaker to drive a pretty large LED display. Better work was by hardware engineers who did not like software. They thought more in logic answers to problems. Right, I need to get my mind away from the whole software solution on an FPGA, because that's totally not how the translation would work. Set up a frame buffer and route selected subsets to multiple drivers and multiple buses in parallel. Right, but I've got to populate the frame buffer. That's the thing, right? So like if I wanted to, okay, let's just say if I wanted to drive 2000 RGB LEDs, just whatever, right? Then at a decent frame rate, I have to fill a frame buffer of 2000 pixels, whatever, however it's stored in memory, in like 3 different colors, or however I store the color. That has to be whether you think it's a lot or not. It's right. But if I'm streaming, what am I streaming in? Okay, maybe I'm the bottle. Okay, so the bottleneck for normally would be the fact that you're bit banging the data out, and that's the performance bottleneck on an MCU, right? So you don't really have that problem on the FPGA. So it's just a matter of getting the data in fast enough. I'm not talking about video, because I don't know what the data coming in would be. Let's just the data coming in could just be a massive array. 128 kilobyte of RAM. Right, but what would I want to store the data in? What, like I'd have 2,000 bits of data that I would need to store a color value. So, and if I wanted a full color value, then we're talking about a uint 32. Simple CPU that can DMA color data from the embedded RAM. Have fun driving, cable tie. Don't drive and watch at the same time. It's all a question of optimization problem. Right, but I'm trying to... So, how big is a uint 32? No, how big is it in... Using the dual port block, we'll play the data on the LED's rate. Okay, so I'm storing exactly 24 bits then, fine. So 24 bits... okay. Twice the size of a uint 16. Thanks very much. Don't think the value turned out to be wasteful in our LED experiments. It was better to store the smaller value and then apply gamma correction. Okay, but bye, Beata. Have fun gardening. Okay. So I was thinking of like, and I just threw like 2,000 LEDs out there, but like an RGB LED controller that could control a massive amount of LEDs. Right, but what's if it was 5,000 LEDs, or what's if it was 3 lots of 2,000? I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of a use case of something that an MCU just couldn't do. Oh, good timing, Quindor. How you doing? Could easily get tens of thousands, but at what frame rate though? And on what size FPGA? Devices have to pose an actual problem and then attack it. Would you? Absolutely, sure. I get that. So, looking at your example here, I'm trying to understand how. Okay, so grabbing the clock. For speed, right, that's just cycling a counter again, and then how we're working out to generate a WS onto stream for blinking up to 64 JB LEDs with a cyclic color pattern, magenta, cyan, yellow, and white. Counter bytes 3 per pixel. Count bits in the byte. Turn off every 4th byte to create color cycle. Okay, right. Smaller bit equals brighter LED. Order. Output a single high 1 of 4 time slots for 0, 2 of 4. So I'm just reading through this, trying to understand this. Hello, not herbs. Why the sad face about FPGAs? The Ice Twang project was really enjoyable to me. Porting an Arduino toy game to Icebreaker. It was really illuminating how FPGA adds value even there. Problem's not really relevant. It's doing it with the FPGA and deciding how to do it. It's a learning experience for me. Right, you got a lot more experience with FPGAs, and you can think in the logic space rather than the coding space, and I haven't been able to get my mindset around that yet. Right, I'm still thinking MCU land. Exactly, frame rate 24. What do you do with the FPGA that you can't on an MCU is have multiple edge trigger clocks between memory location and the serial output. I was at a gasp. Right, okay. Ezzy, hello. Like I've got I'm at 0% right now. No, I'm at 0.5% right now. You don't need addressable pictures. You can do them, mate. No, but I'm talking about addressable pixels right now. Like I'm not looking at non-addressable. Like, yeah, like if I wanted to make a logo that was twice the size, as in twice as wide, twice as tall, I'm looking at 4,500 LEDs, and there's no MCU on the market that's going to let me drive 4,000 LEDs. I'm talking about through one chain. I'm not talking about splitting it to multiple channels, right? To draw that many and be able to get more than a few frames per second, right? So, and at that point in time, I might as well just stick a TV on the wall and put my logo on the TV. I get that, like a 4K TV, but then it doesn't look like a logo. No, it will. Okay, it's still a limitation of the MCU that it literally can't do that protocol fast enough, right? We're running 128 times 256 RGB LED panel as a demo with the Icebreaker playing video to it over USB. Addressable RGB? Are you talking about addressable, or are you talking about this type? The hub? Because hub's very different. Also connect separate strings of LEDs on multiple data pins and feed the data out to each string. Yeah, but then you get sync issues. Oh, okay, interesting. Sure, I know I could do it with APAs, but APAs also chew stacks more current. Right, or I split it to multiple pins, and then I've got the issue of making sure everything is in sync. No, I wasn't talking about it on an FPGA, I'm talking about on an MCU, sync issues. So if I wanted 4 times as many LEDs as the logo, and I used 4 different channels, 4 different IOs to do that, then there's no guarantee that I'm going to get a complete frame update exactly without any type of distortion or flickering or, you know what I mean? Whatever. Right, on an FPGA, everything will be in sync. Shouldn't have sync issues if you know how to code. Right. Okay. Because an MCU doesn't have anything else happening in the background, like, you know, Watchdog or FreeRTOS or anything doing anything in the background that could possibly interrupt the MCU at any just odd, unplanned for time, right? That's, come on, Chris. When was the last time you played with MCUs, especially in the ESP32 space? Use hardware interrupts and run it on bare metal. No, I need an MCU that's got Wi-Fi, that is running other things other than just purely updating data on an RGB strip, right? There's you can't just talk in isolation like that. The ESP32, for instance, is notorious for getting flickering and distortion in the chain because watchdog kicking in or other things. Because that would be a very expensive replacement, Alex. Yeah. Like putting a how much is an ICE 40 chip at the moment? You can hack an MC to do a lot of stuff, but it does not mean it's the right tool for the job. Sure. You need to code the ISR in assembly. Okay, so let's think about this. Just take the broader picture back a bit, Chris. So let's just say I had a product that was designed to drive thousands of RGB LEDs, yeah? And this is something that I give to other people to code, not me. I can provide some basic code, some examples, but at the end of the day, I can't guarantee that anyone's going to write any code in any way or do anything. Like, do you understand? It's so having a solution like that runs off an MCU isn't an option, right? Like having it work specifically to do exactly just this one thing. A question: why are all the RGB wall driver boards using FPGA? Yeah, like, yeah, an MCU isn't the right tool for what I'm looking at doing. Okay, but tight timing, low level, and then here you go. Here's a board that drives lots of LEDs. Here's some software, and then it doesn't work for them because they're changing the code. Anyway, having it all work in hardware removes that whole problem. Hello, Adesh. PKW could probably push more than 24 channels given PRO and exclusive access to one core if you want. Sure, but again, looking at something. I get that, Chris, but that's a dedicated one-off thing for one solution for whatever. That doesn't work when you then hand that to someone else and they want to have something completely different displayed and they can't code that way. Anyway, phased array audio microphone, 500 microphones need to be very precise and see. I know what an FPGA can do, folks. Sorry. So this all just came about. I just was thinking in my head about, because I'm thinking of, from a software point of view, how would I get the data to the FPGA fast enough to not limit the FPGA in its update rate? But I guess that doesn't really matter. Like, that's a non-event thing. Well, it is making it harder doing it on an FPGA, Peter, when you don't know how to use an FPGAs. Okay, the conversation's going all over the place now. So 40 $2.75 if you need one instead of 3. Yeah, but hang on, wait. That's a smaller ICE 40, isn't it? Than what? let's go to US dollars. IO isn't an issue. It's the so it's only got 56 kilobit of RAM. Which one's the one that you're using, Peter? Well, the flashing LEDs would be a blinky. Are you using the 5K? Is it? Oh, I didn't code it. I'm sure I can write some code to just make it blink. What, you what other, the question is, what other files are required? If I go to just an empty project, whatever. No, what's a simple? Okay, so I can just go, so what is in the make file? So it's the up 5K. Which one's the up? Catch you later. Dave Paul Jones. Hey. Hey, Max. Right, there's the app. Yep, 5K. I don't know which particular one. I'm just curious. Availability 0. Oh, that's the board. $63. I got some blinking. Okay, I'm gonna. So, okay. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna make a new folder. Just because, you know. Oops, not in there. No, not in there. New folder. I'm going to call it Xeon Blink. Oops, and I'm going to go new file called make file. And project is Xeon Blink. Oh, that's got to be capital, doesn't it? Ah. Okay. And don't save. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go, oops. New file, Xeon blink.v. And so...
Geek says greetings, mortals.
Hello, Quixotic Geek. Greetings. And I want to go. I don't know. Okay. So I just need a module and an end module, right? Okay, so a module. Does it really need to have a name? And so my orders arrived in Den Haag. Awesome. Set up simulation with iVerilog sooner than later. You'll see that you end up spending more time in simulation than actual hardware when projects become... Yeah, that's well beyond what my skill set is right now. Just saying. Okay. Like that's really beyond me. Okay, so we want to... does it matter what I call the module? Whatever. And I'm going to have a an in. Input's going to be a button. I'm assuming that I have to use the exact naming for them, don't I? I'm playing with
Cian, chatbot has disconnected.
see, it just keeps disconnecting on me. But that's okay, because I can just... I never knew before when it disconnected, now I do. In the Icebreaker PCF. Oh. Oh, excellent, thank you. LEDs and buttons. They're the, those ones. Where are the other ones? Right, so BTN 1 and LED 1. Output LED 1. And then I want to assign LED 1 equals button 1. Like that's the... What? Okay, so I'm in C on blink, make, error. What? What am I missing? Oh, I need a semicolon at the end, don't I? Why is that not highlighted? But that one is. Doesn't really matter. Make? No. Module top. What have I done? Oh my god. Wrong brackets. I'm not looking at chat. I want to solve this myself. I mean, this is really one of like the most basic. One warnings, no errors. Make prog. This is the most basic code I can write, yeah? Hey, Atomic 14. Button 1. Which one's button 1? Button 1. Oh my god, look at that. Oops. There you go.
Alan Madsen says good day or night to you all.
There you go. Look at that. I wrote my first code. Input button 2.
Collinator says woohoo.
And I can go assign LED 2 equals button 1 and button 2.
Geek says button.
Button. Oh, button 2. And input. I can't type. Don't type on screen. Okay. Do I have to do a make before make prog? Can I just not do it at the same time? Okay, so button 1 does that one, and button 2 does nothing, but button 1 and 2 together does... Wait, which one's button 2? Why didn't that work? LED 2 equals button 1 and button 2. Oh my god, I can't type. Button 1 and button 2. Make should resolve dependencies. Yeah, I probably saw the warnings but didn't look. Okay. Button 1 and 2. Yay. 1. Okay. Cool. This will cause an error when you use an undefined signal. But I used an undefined signal and there wasn't an error. Was there an error? It did compile, or maybe it didn't compile. If I put that back, if I just do that, like make, what error was there? See, it's still no errors, just one warning. Warning identifier bin is implicitly declared. Makes
Piotr Stantempski says see my previous post.
see previous post. I recommend you add default net type none at the beginning of your file. What does that do? What does default net type 1 do? Does that go at the beginning of the file like that? Makes it kind of option explicit for declaring signals. Does that mean it'll error now? So if I do this, it'll give me forces that nets are not explicitly defined to be none and cause an error. Ah, right. Here we go. Oh wait. Error syntax error expected TOC ID. Is that the error I just got? No, that's something else. Backtick. Backtick at the beginning? Token identifier. Oh, it needs a backtick. What is the backtick for? What? Why does this need a backtick but the other ones don't? Or is that something that isn't default Verilog? Okay, so if I try to make that now, it's going to throw me an error. Oh, like a macro. Okay. So this should now give me an error. Right. BTN is explicitly declared. Right. That's what I was expecting it to do before. Okay. Like the hash in the C micro. Okay. Cool. Well, anyway, I wrote my first Blinky. It really isn't that hard. I mean, that's just... I mean, that's even easier from a logic point of view than writing something on an MCU. But taking this further is going to be the interesting challenge. No worries, mate. I've been meaning to get to this for a very long time. Wish I had a YouTube fan base and I was willing to Verilog. Be thankful you don't. No, it's great. It's awesome. Rest is left as an exercise future. The problem is doing basic logic stuff is easy enough, right? Like you know, I was doing digital robotics at uni, doing things like, you know, setting up logic and Carnot maps and optimization of logic and stuff. I excelled in that space. But that doesn't mean I can like taking some existing logic and optimizing it or whatever is one thing, but thinking up the logic or thinking that way to make something is something else. You need to start with this is what I need. This is the problem I'm trying to solve from an actual thing, and work that backwards to how would you implement it on the FPGA. And there's this massive gap there for me. State machines and synchronous sequence logic. Yeah, I got Chris. I got to rethink everything and fault knowledge. Like that's my whole. I'm really struggling with that whole thing. I'm still trying to translate coding problems to work on an FPGA. The end goal for me is I want to learn. I want to play. I want to experiment. I want to, like, I totally get that some, just like with MCUs, there are FPGAs out there that are really good at doing some things, and there are FPGAs out there that aren't big enough to do some things. Like if I wanted to work with, HDMI or DVI out or whatever else, if I wanted to do, proper, anyway, whatever. Like, I don't have an end goal for a project. And until I think of one, I'm just going to be floundering, making LEDs turn on and off. I know I need to think about the hardware problem, not the coding problem, but I'm not there yet. I haven't, you know what I mean? Like, Marcus Regis says inline state machine, plug it together, done. Which was that? Yeah, it's not that easy. Digital right LED pin, Blinky. Sure, right. Anyway. R2R DAC VGA project was a great learning project for me. So I'm just reading backwards. Colin had to suffer in silence. You know me, I don't suffer in silence. Implement blue screen of death. I'm on a Mac, there's no blue screen of death, but sure. Implement the beach ball, spinning beach ball. Ceylon does everything by drawing out a symbolic schematic on paper first for his FPGA designs. Great, watch his videos. There's a whole bunch of learning I need to do. Just pick a protocol and implement it. Okay. Voice story elevator with simple call button. I don't think I'm ready to implement SPI just yet. Well, I'd need to implement it to be able to drive something, or I need to be plugging it into a logic analyzer or something to be able to see my output of it. But sure, I know. I need to. I think I need to step a bit slower than just bang. Let's just do SPI now. Like be able to do. Yeah, I gotta. Wires versus registers versus, oh my god, anyway. Full CAN bus as a start. I mean, go full send. The other problem is there's plenty of examples out there. I just don't know how they translate over. It's really dead simple. Takes a few minutes. A few minutes. Okay. New folder. Xeon SPI.
Geek says Tiny Pico FPGA shield soon?
No, not an FPGA. That wouldn't make any sense. And I don't know how you'd flash an FPGA via an ESP32 easily. I was discussing that with Peter yesterday. Hang on, I need to... One second. Okay, make file. I'm just doing this here, right? So now I've got a make file in here. Xeon Blink, Xeon. How am I even going to validate that it works though? Yeah, famous last words. Now get rid of VS Code for a bit and bring up Paint. No, I'm not gonna be baited over this. You can program FPGA over SPI. Can you? I've got a scope, but you guys can't see it. And I've got a logic analyzer. I don't think this is the challenge for this stream. Maybe it's already 2 hours. Okay, my next FPGA stream, which I don't know when that's going to be. Okay, I will hook something up and we'll try to get a protocol or two going or something. Sure, I don't think it's worth trying to do this right this second. But I'm curious to see if. Okay, well, I wasn't going to show this yet, but. Okay. There's a reason I was thinking about the FPGA and RGB LEDs. So, might as well open these up now. They're trying to dynamically flash an FPGA. That's where you just buy the socket variant. Okay, so I have my final prototype of my bling here. Okay, so this has got the second LDO for controlling the panel and everything else. Final prototype, don't need to build. I haven't built it yet, but I will. I also have here another bling. This is called a tiny bling, and this will let you plug a tiny Pico, tiny S2, tiny S3 into the back, right? So it doesn't have all of the electronics built on the back. It's just got the LDO for controlling the power and some headers. And I also have do you have a PMOD to Tiny Bling adapter? I don't, but what I have, these are smaller. This is a smaller panel, just to show you size difference. There, it's a little bit narrower and a little bit shorter. Yeah, because all it's got on the back is a header. And this is called Solo Bling. That is perfect to hook the FPGA up to. 320 LEDs. So, not that I have them populated, I haven't built them yet. So I would like to see, I think what I'd like to do is implement driving WS2812s, 320 of them, connected to this, and see how fast I can get data and stuff up on there. You can implement an MCU in your FPGA to run code there. I know I can, I know. But I don't really know a lot about, or anything about, how much of the FPGA that like running a soft core uses, and how much RAM you end up with, and how much is left over to do other things, and how they'd communicate. Yeah, anyway, that's way above my pay grade right now. But I need to get these samples done. I need to get the prototypes built and validated so I can make panels of these. But yeah. What I did in Twang was create a peripheral for RISC-V core to drive the APA. Yeah, that to me just sounds like sticking an MCU on the board. I know. It's all that's beyond my, like, conceptually I understand it can do all that. No idea how that would all be done. But it'd be cool if I could work this is a triumph, is it? Hey Dale, if I could work out, I think it'd be cool if we could work out how to flash a, not how to make the code, but how to just load the bitstream data from an ESP32 into an FPGA. That would be cool. You'd still have to build your code externally. But anyway, make a fun LED logic waveform viewer. Sure. Okay. I mean, I guess there are lots of things I could build with it. Peripheral can be molded to the task at hand. It's not something. Yeah, I know. I understand. It's got to be a library to do that. To do what? I'm sure there's examples everywhere to do this type of stuff. I also want to get my Itsy Bitsy going as well. I'm probably going to develop on the Itsy Bitsy instead. I think maybe. Although I'm going to have to then solder the headers on, which is going to be frustrating. Frustrating as in I can just use the PMOD connector. Okay, where it's also a good lesson. There's a cutoff when it makes sense to move things into a software or gateway. Yeah, no idea what I'd do with an ESP32 and an FPGA. Like, ultimately the FPGA could just be an I/O expander, but then there's easier ways of doing that already, right? That take a lot less work to implement the hardware on the board. So yeah, I don't really know what advantage there would be on a combo like that, but emulate the protocol used to flash using standard way. Microcontroller I don't know. I don't know all the different ways that you can flash, or different ways you can load the bitstream for an FPGA. I mean, there's, as I said, I'm at 0.5%, and I need to, xcamera.com, what is that? It's a PDF. They've sold out. You mean the Sony investment? I don't know if that's really sold out. A small fourth CPU core for FPGAs. Why would I want to program in fourth? What? I don't want an Arduino Giga R1 Wi-Fi. Yeah, everyone go buy an icebreaker. Yay! Thanks, Peter. Thanks for your help, mate. Why did you get censored? I don't know. I didn't censor you. Oh, fourth is great. It's just old. Very old. I have no idea. Collinator. Get started Technology. Thanks for your help. Sony investment to include the Sony AI core in the next boards. Yeah, I don't know if it's Sony approached them or they approached Sony, whatever. I don't think they're selling. It's not a selling out thing. You got to remember, most of Raspberry Pi Limited's income is commercial now. So AI on the edge is very important to them. No worries, Peter. Get your Itsy Bitsies done. I'm sure people buy those, lots of those. Why are we talking May the 4th? Oh, because of the 4th. 4th. Okay.
Geek says, May the 4th be with you.
Thank you. Gotta say, always. Yeah, 4th and COBOL. All pretty old. Okay. I'm just surprised I got the Toolchain working. Thanks everyone for the help on getting that working. Yeah. Oh my God. See, now I need to put that aside and get on with other things today. And that's kind of frustrating. Now I need to context switch between different programming languages and MCUs and FPGAs. Oh, what am I doing? Xeon, what are you doing? But it's definitely coffee time. S3 has AI, but IDF downstream to circuit Python just too big to fit, I guess. Yeah, it's unknown what AI the S3 has. Let's be honest. What do you mean using the source command? Or you could also just log out, log back in. Is the flashing protocol open sourced? It doesn't work that well. It's not flashing the same way you'd normally think about flashing with an FPGA. Oh, have you got a or is it a coming soon? It's a coming soon. Oh, when? What's actually what are you waiting for? You got all the components and stuff now, don't you? Are those that I know there are a lot of FPGA boards out there, but what's interesting about the Itsy Bitsy is that there's no FTDI chip on here, so it's running a USB core for flashing. Like you can put it into DFU mode to flash, to upload the bit stream, which is really nice. I mean, the FTDI chips are expensive and they're really big. I'm waiting for the first batch Glasgow to ship. Glasgow is holding up everything. Okay, right. So, I think this is a really cute board. The question is to everyone here. Peter, close your ears, block your ears. What about this in a tiny Pico format? Okay, anyway, next, let's move on. I also have a crowd supply. Do you? What's your one? There's lots of FPGAs on here. Here's one. Here's one. Here's one. I see blue. I see blue.
Geek says I said that half hour ago.
You said what a half hour ago? What did I miss? What? Here's another one. Feather-based ICE40 FPGA board for rapid development. Cool. Oh my god. It's oak. Seth, you got a new, is that a new Twitter handle? Not Twitter. YouTube handle. I didn't even realize it was you, mate. How funny is that? For them. You'll have USB-C in the new version. Yeah, I wondered why you went micro B. So when are you launching this? FPGA board in the tiny Pico. The problem with an FPGA in a tiny Pico format is, firstly, yeah, no room to stick an FTDI chip on there. So it'd have to be similar. It'll end up being the same as the Itsy Bitsy, which I think I wouldn't do that to Peter. Like it's no point. And also a lot less I/O available than the Itsy Bitsy. So I'm not sure if it makes much sense doing an FPGA, a tiny board with FPGA. But if I could work out how I could get an ESP32 and an ICE40 working together, where you could flash your ESP32 to do whatever, like a regular ESP32, like S3, whatever you want to do with it, but you could also tell it to load bitstream data into the FPGA, then I would consider seeing if I could get something going on this format, on my Pro S3 format, which is still Tiny Pico compatible at the start. But that would make more sense because there's stacks more I/O, and there's a lot more room on the board potentially to be able to do this. So is the Itsy Bitsy fully Teensy pinout compatible? I didn't think it was originally. I saw you tweeting about your RP2040 and ICE40. Yeah, the question is, the micro they use for flashing, is that using fixed firmware on the micro? Like, what happens if you stomp it? Like, you'd have to be able to, like, if someone puts firmware on the ESP32, that they could potentially break the ability to pass through bitstream data. Like, maybe there's a way of sharing the USB bus or something. Like, I don't know, if you get a digital switch that it would allow you to share it somehow. I don't know. Can you set ESP32 to run in bootlet? Sure, but that doesn't mean... Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of thought that needs to go in. The micro loads the FPGA at runtime. Did you? I didn't know that, Peter. Really? I'm sure I bought a Itsy Bitsy off them years ago, like 3-4 years ago. Oh, 1Bitsy. Wait, do you actually have a product, 1Bitsy? Okay, I believe you. I just, first time I ever saw it was one of their products. So Seth, so with your 2040, okay, so you're just using the 2040. So, okay, so like an FPGA external flash, that's where for instance, the bitstream loads from when it loads up, right? So you're replacing that with sending it from the RP2040. Is that right? Oh, wow, you did actually have a... Oh my God, you did. Wow. A 1Bitsy. STM32. Shocking. Sold out. What? I'm kidding. That's really cool. I didn't know you had that. So how are you getting it to... I'm just curious. How are you getting it to push the data up? Like, what happens if someone flashes... Are you just using the RP2040 as the bridge to do that? Like, what's if someone flashes the RP2040 with... I don't know. If they install MicroPython on it? How do you then get stuff onto the FPGA? Like, do they have to be running only certain firmware on the 2040 side to be able to then have it talk to and use the FPGA? Because that's my concern. Like, I don't want to limit what people can do with the ESP32, because, like, I want people to be able to, for instance, you know, use Wi-Fi and do all sorts of other things like that, but at the same time be able to communicate with the FPGA and be able to flash be able to load bitstream to it. Oh, SPI, yeah, there's an option to share the SPI pins so you could side load. Right, but you could only side load it if you had the right firmware on the RP2040, right? Like, again, what happens if someone trashes the shipping firmware and puts something else on there? Like, how would you then do that? Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to work out in my head. And ultimately, like, wouldn't it be cool if on an ESP32 running Python, MicroPython, right? Get the whole toolchain converted. No, okay. The Python toolchain Talking about if you side load the FPGA separately from the SPI pins and a jumper. But then you need an external programmer to do that. Like, what would you connect to the SPI pins to do that? I get it's just a protocol, but the software to do that needs to be on the MCU, right? I'm not doing that work, Peter. I can't even get it installed on my Mac. I'm thinking an underlying module that's baked into CircuitPython. Right. Yeah, I feel like people could get, for me anyway, I'm worried that people, hey, plug it in Arduino IDE, put some code on their board. Oh, okay, they've got no ability to talk to the FPGA anymore. I'd like to know how that could be solved. I like the idea of having, like, how you can go into UF2 bootloader mode. What if the UF2 bootloader mode was the flash the FPGA mode? That could be interesting. That is what Adafruit is doing to get into the FPGA. They include pre-baked IP blocks. P on the first board will be ultimately the only controllable from the... Right. USB share or USB pass-through sounds interesting. Yeah. Like if you could set up some type of like a fake DFU mode on the ESP32 that when you were in that mode and you copy your bitstream on the USB, it passes it through to the FPGA. You're making it way more complex. Yeah, I was looking at the ISV, the thing. I looked at that a while ago. I don't think I'm making it more complicated, Chris. I think that, so this is what Peter just... I know it can read it from any source. It's got to be... It's how to get it there. Like, no, it's not how to get it. It's if you have... Okay. Yeah, well, yes and no. I don't know if it all exists already. Like, here's a board that has an ESP32 and an ICE. But, well, it's using a C3. But I don't know if it's... If the C3 is just in SDI mode, like SDMMC mode or not. But Wi-Fi and Bluetooth control. FPS, yeah. See the provide. Okay. Right, so this is using dedicated firmware they've written to do this, which is fine. But then if someone takes the board and flashes something else on it, that's my issue, right? They'd have to go and then reflash their board with this firmware to be able to use the FPGA again. I'm curious to know if there would be a way to have persistent firmware on the ESP32, like in a different stage bootloader or something. No, I get all that, Chris. I get all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not asking how do I flash or get the bitstream data to the FPGA from the ESP32. It's not what I'm asking. That's easy. Dedicated firmware. Okay? Great. Done. But if that firmware is not there anymore, it doesn't work anymore. Right? So here's a general purpose board that has an ESP32 and an FPGA on it, and someone plugs it in and loads some whatever software on it, and the ability to talk to the FPGA is gone. And then they have to go and reflash it with some other software again, losing what they were working on, to be able to talk to the FPGA again. That to me is the worst user experience ever and makes the whole thing pointless, right? But if there was a way of like what's the way the UF2 bootloader works with CircuitPython, for instance, it boots into CircuitPython, but, so it uses the multi-stage bootloader, does a bootloader and it goes, should I go into UF2 mode? No? Okay. Go to here and launch CircuitPython, right? You can keep the UF2 bootloader area intact in Arduino IDE, for instance. So, could you do a multi-stage bootloader where it boots into the ESP32 unless you interrupt it? So it boots into the ESP32 and boots into whatever code you flashed, yeah? But if you interrupt it, it goes into, instead of UF2 bootloader mode, it goes into, I want to flash my FPGA mode, and then you can send whatever bitstream data you want to your FPGA. But you still have your firmware on it that you flashed on it. It doesn't, like, do you understand? That's the solution I would want to get working. Okay, not the solution that is out there now, like this website or what you're suggesting, right? I don't want that. If that's a solution, I don't want to do it.
Geek says good night, lovely people.
Catch you later, Quixotic Geek. Have a good sleep. Hope you get your package soon. Still have to make sure no one overwrites. Right, but if they overwrite the boot area, well, that's... Like, I can't stop people from plugging 5 volts into the 3.3 volt pin and blowing their board up, okay? Happens more often than you'd think. Okay? Like, I can't stop stupidity. But having a way... Sounds like a third chip as a controller. No, there's no room for a third chip, and I don't want to do a third chip. Defeats the benefits of the split. You want to be able to OTA the bitstream without restarting the MCU. I don't necessarily agree with that, but the point of a SOM host and FPGA. Again, I don't agree. I don't necessarily agree with that either. Like it's not for me to decide how people are going to use the board. If I decide how people are going to use the board and have a strict structure on how they're going to use it, that then makes it just not worth it. Like, it makes it a very unversatile board, okay? You know, there might be people who go, hey, that's really cool, ESP32, FPGA. I don't know if I want to use the FPGA right now or what I'm going to do with it, but maybe in the future I will, whatever. But for now, I can use it just as a regular ESP32, right? But again, it's not, I'm not asking how I get it there, Chris, or where I store it. I'm talking about having it always able to do that, no matter what code people put on their boards. That's what I'm saying. No, they don't include a module to drive the FPGA if they want it. I include a module to drive the FPGA that's always there if they want to use it, no matter what they flash on their board. Okay, that's my product requirement. It seems that I'm the only one that cares, right? But well, I've not seen any that do it, Seth, but that would be my requirement for my board if I was going to do something like that, right? That the whole point would be, if the user can do one little thing and get the board in a state that they can't use the FPGA anymore, then, you know what I mean? That's just That's not a great product. Like, in my mind. That doesn't mean that there isn't space for other types of products, right? But I don't know. Like, it doesn't need that, wagon loads. Like, that's not the point. The going into FPGA mode has to be persistent no matter what they flash on the board, right? Well, yeah, but that's what the multi-stage bootloader is. It's technically, it's not partitions, but it's the multi-stage bootloader. Do you have a bootloader that keeps the user from removing the RGB LED support? That's not the same thing at all, Chris. Not the same thing at all. Right? Not everyone wants to use RGB LEDs, and when they do, they flash it on their board because they're flashing a single purpose thing onto a single MCU. Done. Full stop. Right? I'm talking. This is two things. This is an MCU and an FPGA that could be doing all sorts of things. It could be running a soft core. It could be running whatever. It doesn't matter. The user needs to be able to both send bitstream stuff to it and communicate with it. And the communicating with it is something that they can choose to flash or not flash. That's like the RGB stuff. But the sending bitstream data to it has to always be there. That functionality always has to be there, regardless of what they flash on their board. Okay? If their project doesn't need to talk to the FPGA right now, that's fine. They don't have to have that driver module installed, right, in their firmware. No problem. But if they go, okay, you know what? I want to talk to my FPGA now. They shouldn't have to go and reflash specific firmware on their board just to flash the FPGA. That functionality should be baked into the board, always. That's what I want. It's not a matter if it doesn't need to talk to it, doesn't need to... I don't think you're understanding what I'm talking about, Chris. Two different things we're talking about here. Using the FPGA and flashing the FPGA. They're two different things. Two different things. I'm talking about flashing it. No matter what you do on the ESP32, no matter what code you put on there, you should always be able to get the board into a mode where you can flash the FPGA with new wetware, whatever it's called, gateware, yeah, without having to reprogram the ESP32 to do so. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the solution is a bootloader that implements the FPGA flashing as you described. You can then choose to also support FPGA flashing in your user firmware, but you don't have to. Right. Talking to the FPGA in the user firmware is one thing. That's fine. That's optional if someone needs it or not. Well, you're talking about doing it with a SAMD51 where you're putting the SAMD51 into USB mode where it just acts like an FTDI chip. That's not what I'm talking about. But anyway, but yes. No, not dip switches. Anyway. Okay. This can definitely be done with a multi-stage bootloader. Someone's got to do it, right? Catch you later, Adesh. Hey, Sebastian. I don't want to have any UART on there. I don't want any extra... This should be able to be done with no extra hardware. No extra... If I have to stick a UART on the board, I don't have room. Not going to happen. Right? So, yeah. The deal is, no matter what the user puts on the ESP32, unless they do a complete erase flash and kill the whole chip, I can't prevent them from doing that. But if they don't do that, then no matter what user code they run, or no matter what platform they put on the ESP32, they can get into the second stage bootloader by holding a button or something when they boot it up to talk to the FPGA. Hold the FPGA and reset right to the flash, SPI flash. How am I writing to the SPI flash? I've got my board plugged in, USB on my computer. How am I writing to the flash? Without any external hardware? Anyway, okay. Wow, I didn't mean to start a debate over this. I would love to. Yeah, there were things like that for me is more important than split the data onto the bus with the appropriate. No, how's the data coming in? I have a USB serial port, which is connected to the ESP32. The ESP32 has to talk SPI to the flash. It's got to know to do that. Anyway. Okay. 2.5 hours, I think. Third button for FPGA pass-through mode. Yeah, it'd be nice to the user, didn't have to, but sure, yep. Yeah, you're still missing the step at the start, Chris, which is the data is coming into the ESP32. The ESP32 doesn't know what to do with it. So that functionality has to be baked into the board, is all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm gonna let's stop talking about this now. I know the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm not sure everyone is on board with what I'm trying to say or how I think it should be done, and that's okay. Everyone's free to do things however they want to do it. But yeah, I'm keen to just continue playing with the FPGA regardless. Forget about the whole ESP32 FPGA together. That's let's see if I can get some LEDs going. So stay tuned for the next stream for that. Cool, Seth. I'm not saying the way you're doing it on your board is wrong or anything either, right? It just really depends on how much you want the user to be able to use both sides. Like an RP2040 doesn't have any radio in it, right? So, but an ESP32 does, and it'd be crazy not to be able to use the radio with your FPGA project, yeah? In some way or another, which requires you stomping the ESP32 code to do that, to set it up for however you want, potentially breaking the ability to control the FPGA, is all I'm saying. Have a good one. Oh, photochromax. Okay, catch you later. Oh, absolutely. People want to be helpful. Devin's Workshop. I totally get that. But Chris has got a million. Chris has got decades worth of knowledge ahead of me, and has done most of the things that I only ever think about doing. So for him, yep, done. Easy solution to solve. I'm not trying to solve the technical. I'm trying to solve the user experience on it. Yeah. I think Chris forgets how little time I've spent doing this. Don't you, Chris? So, but I totally get it. Okay, I'm going. Thanks everyone for joining. Stay tuned to whatever. Maybe next week. I'll see if I can get stuff together in time that I can do some WS stuff next week, FPGA stuff. We'll see how we go. Otherwise, have a great week, and yeah, catch you later. Thanks for all your help.